Adam Azer and Dave Richard. Dave Richard is a hidden gem. Yes, that's a big compliment to start FFT Express. Let's find out some more hidden gems right now.
Where am I hiding?
Oh, hello, Dave. Peekaboo. There he is. All right, not my best intro, but this could be a good show. I'm going to give you players who are being drafted after pick 120 on CBS. Okay. You tell me if they are a true hidden gem. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Justin Tucker.
No, everybody looks at him as a top 5 fantasy kicker. He should still be a top 5 fantasy kicker.
Jamison Williams, 121st.
Not a hidden gem. Everybody is aware of who he is by now. The fact that he's changing his game. I shouldn't say changing. He's improved his game, running better routes, does have an opportunity to be not just necessarily top 3 in terms of targets in Detroit, but closer to the top 2 guys there. I think he's a fun guy to target before you even get to the double-digit rounds. I'm thinking round 8 on Jamison Williams.
All right, Jamison Williams. How about Justin Herbert, 125th overall?
Now, that's an interesting hidden gem because we've come to know him as a guy that can put up huge numbers, but he hasn't done it lately for a number of reasons. And now I'm worried that he won't get there because there's so much going against him. The scheme of the offense that LA is running, the fact that he's got a foot injury, the fact that he doesn't have a clear-cut number 1 stud receiver makes me feel like he's kind of a waste of a draft pick at this point. I never thought I'd say these words. I'd rather draft Will Levis than Justin Herbert. Oh. I know that sounds crazy, but the idea behind that is I'm taking a late round pick. I'm trying to find a hidden gem. I will take the chance on Will Levis becoming that gem before I take the chance on Justin Herbert becoming that gem in 2024.
All right, fair enough. How about Brian Thomas, 127th overall? And I'll just my opinion on this is I'm not really that interested in Brian Thomas. I think he's a bit of a project.
I agree, but the one thing that is not a project to his game is his speed. He's very fast, and he will be able to run past defenders. We saw it in the game against Kansas City. There was a play where a defender for the Chiefs, a cornerback, tried to jam him on the line. That defender missed. Brian Thomas was off to the races. He wasn't even targeted. Later on in the game, he did it again. The defender tried to jam him. Brian Thomas was off to the races. This time, C.J. Beathard did target him, and he actually made a great catch on a pass that was underthrown a little bit. He's got potential to be one of those boom or bust wide receivers, but I don't know if he's going to discern. I said discern. I don't even know what that means. I don't know if he can rise up to being a 7+ target guy in Jacksonville's offense right away. He might be a late bloomer this year and be somebody that does end up being a number 3 receiver by the time we get to December. If you're patient, you should draft Brian Thomas. If you're not, then don't draft Brian Thomas.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's not on my draft board because there's so much talent there. But I made this bold prediction, and you were not on the show. My bold prediction was that Gabe Davis would have a better season than Brian Thomas.
I mean, anything's possible.
Okay. I know you like Rico Dowdle, 128th overall.
I do until the Cowboys make a move at running back, but he was solid in their preseason game, did a good job following his blockers, had a little bit of burst. These are all things that you kind of expect an NFL running back to have. I don't know if he's got a trait that separates him. Remember, he's been in the league a long time. Here's how it feels, Adam. It feels like Rico Dowdle is the best running back the Cowboys have right now. So they kind of don't have a choice but to lean on Rico Dowdle. If that stays the case before week 1, then great. You've got somebody that you took with a late round pick that might perform like in the low end RB2 from week to week. Remember, he's still going to share with Ezekiel Elliott. But if Dallas adds another running back, then Rico Dowdle could turn into dust on your fantasy team. He might be the first player in fantasy history that begins the offseason as a sleeper, rises to become a breakout, and then becomes a bust all before week 1.
That's actually pretty funny. But thinking about it, someone asked me, like, who could the Cowboys add that would be an upgrade? You know, we keep having
that. I want to know.
As a listener, he brought up Dalvin Cook and Kareem Hunt. I don't think those guys are upgrades at this point over Rico Dowdle, not because Dowdle's so great or anything. And then we say, maybe they'll trade for Khalil Herbert. Okay,
Khalil Herbert is always a name that comes to mind.
Yeah, but we've made that up. It's not like there's any buzz about that.
But you could make the case that Chicago kind of showcased them a little bit in their first preseason game.
Yeah,
and it really comes down to if Chicago gets an offer that makes them move off of Khalil Herbert. And I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen, but he is in a contract year. If the Bears have no interest in extending Khalil Herbert, then maybe trading him away if they can get a decent day 3 pick for him. Remember, he was a 6th round pick for them once upon a time.
Yeah.
They might do that type of thing.
We got to take a break. We'll come back and talk about more hidden gems on FFT Express. All right, let's take a look a little bit deeper here. How about Matthew Stafford, 140th overall, was pretty damn good down the stretch last year. And just a few years ago when they won the Super Bowl, he was a top 12, top 10, I think, quarterback. Is Matthew Stafford a hidden gem? Would you rather have Will Levis or Stafford?
I'd rather have Stafford. That one's pretty easy. And although I'm concerned about the state of the Rams offensive line, I am not nearly as concerned about the Nakua injury. I think he'll be fine. Cooper Kupp's healthy. That's a really good thing. So right off the bat, 2 stud wide receivers, they're going to play every down for LA. They should be awesome. And they're going to get targets funneled to them constantly. They also tried to make an upgrade at tight end with Colby Parkinson. They might use him a little bit more. Don't forget about Demarcus Robinson. Those aren't guys that are necessarily going to be great for fantasy, but they can contribute to help Matthew Stafford out. And the running backs can catch there too, Kyron Williams specifically. So I think that there's a case to be made that Stafford is a terrific hidden gem that you could get late in drafts. If you're in a 14-team league and you just whiff on the stud quarterbacks early and you're just going to wait and wait and wait, Stafford makes sense as somebody that you could begin the season with as your starter. I would take him over Levis. I would take him over Herbert. I think I would take him over Trevor Lawrence and Kirk Cousins as well, because we've seen the upside from him before. We saw it as recently as last year, and I think we could see it again the way that LA's offense rolls.
All right, there are a lot of gems here, but I think Jaleel McLaughlin is someone we have to talk about. 147th overall. And, I know you were pleased with the way Javonte Williams was used. But Jaleel McLaughlin certainly looked pretty good in his preseason debut over the weekend. 147th overall for McLaughlin.
I said it on X. Javonte Williams looked good, and Jaleel McLaughlin looked better. Yeah. The difference being that McLaughlin was running against Colts backup defenders when he got on the field. McLaughlin, not only did he play running back and worked a lot and flashed all kinds of speed and hands for the Broncos, but he also returned kicks. So if you're in a league where you think that you can get some points for return yardage, McLaughlin should be on your list because he can contribute there. I definitely think he's going to play in the passing game and definitely be a change of pace back for Denver. And if anything happens to Javonte Williams, I would imagine that McLaughlin would be the next guy up for Denver, but he would still share in that situation. Not a bad running back to draft in those late rounds who could emerge as someone that helps your fantasy team as the year goes on. But I don't want to encourage anybody to say, all right, I'm going to get Javonte Williams in round 7 or round 8, and I'm going to go back and get Jaleel McLaughlin, and then maybe even a late pick on Audric Estime. Don't do that. Let's not invest that much in the Denver Broncos offense. This is just a lottery ticket as far as Jaleel McLaughlin goes with a double-digit round pick.
I'll give you 3 wide receivers going around 150th overall. You tell me who you'd like to draft or rank them, I guess. Jahan Dotson. That scared me. Dotson, Rashid Shaheed, and Dontavian Wicks.
I'm going to put Shaheed first, Wicks second, and Dotson dead last. Like, there's going to be a lot of space in between Wicks and Dotson. I'm not sure if Dotson's even going to be the number 2 receiver for Washington. So, yes, let's not talk about him. Let's not draft him. Let's go ahead and talk about Wicks. He's one of 4 receivers who can probably contribute for Green Bay this year. When he'll contribute and how reliable he'll be for your fantasy team, that's a different story altogether. Shaheed could end up being the number 2 target getter for New Orleans. He's banged up right now, and A.T. Perry made some good things happen in their preseason game. He might get a chance to step up and be like the de facto number 2 while Shaheed's out, number 3 otherwise. I look at Shaheed as someone who can be that number 2 target getter in New Orleans. They love his speed. They're going to start utilizing him as more than just a deep threat. Probably going to be more of a boomer bust type of guy. So you'll start him as a flex, and he might deliver 7 PPR points, or he might deliver 19 PPR points. He's going to be that type of guy. I don't see much consistency with any of the 3 receivers that you named, but we're talking about hidden gems that you're going to find late in drafts.
Thank you, Dave. I expected exactly this. Thank you, Dave Richard. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow on FFT Express.